Good afternoon, Angel.
Good evening. So obviously I'm Angel. I've been watching Verticals since 2023. I've seen well over 3,000 of them,
Whoa.
both of yours included. Started my review page last April and recently started doing self-tapes. So, my first question is always like, how did you get into acting?
How did I get into acting? Well, I went to an audition. That was my first experience for a short film, which I ended up getting involved with, getting cast in, and getting inspired to explore this wonderful challenge. So yeah, it really just started off as a hobby slash experiment, and then as I got into it more, I really felt like it was very challenging and scary, and I wanted to. I didn't want to back down from the challenge, and it just one thing led to another over the course of a few years, and I gradually got like more and more obsessed with solving like what is this acting thing? What is it about? What does it mean to be an actor? And was fortunate enough to discover some great teachers and resources during that time, and yeah, over the process of gradually delving deeper into it over a few years, I decided to really pursue it seriously, like as a profession.
Okay.
And I've done over 60 film and television roles since then, and some plays and voiceovers and all kinds of other things in between.
Okay. How did you like find out about verticals or get into the vertical space?
So I was getting contacted by vertical platforms for a couple of years, when they were in the early stages looking for talent, and everything that I was seeing from them just it didn't resonate with me, and I just kind of avoided it, kind of out of hand, up until last year. And at that point, my agent was repping some of the biggest actors in verticals, and was kind of bringing up with me more, and a couple of platforms, production companies had meetings with them, and they were kind of explaining how they really had vision to elevate the talent and the level of filmmaking and stuff, and to kind of evolve the medium. And so that's when I was seeing like the progression. It felt like it was at a mature enough place that I was like, okay, I'm willing to give this a shot. And the first one was with Flare Flow. And yeah, there were some really great people involved, and some people that I knew, and it was definitely a much better result, team and result than a lot of things I had seen before, and it was also devoid of some of the really bad problems I had heard of other people experiencing some of these productions too.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's a different way of getting into them. I love it. I like it. Because I hear, people just started auditioning for them, and like one of the bigger actors, he was just working on set, and the male actor like never showed, and they were like, "All right, your turn," and now he does it full time.
So, yeah. I've like, I guess, more avoided them than pursued them, but as I connected with some of the people who are kind of at the forefront of advancing the medium and the platforms, brought it up to me, and like their vision, like that was kind of how I got into it, really.
Okay.
Paul Ruddy is who kind of was the person who really has championed them, and also helped champion actors and me, and he was how I technically got into the first vertical. I don't know who the first one that brought a vertical to me was exactly. It's been there was quite a few that weren't a fit. But that was how I started. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Paul's great. I watched him on live once, and I was like, I like it. He had a lot to
Yeah.
say. So.
Yeah. Paul actually found me originally. I've known him for a number of years now and done some other projects with him, but I think he originally found me on General Hospital. And when people ask me what a vertical is, I always tell them it's like a soap opera on your phone.
Yep, basically.
Yeah.
Um, so what was like the biggest difference to you between the traditional horizontal films and vertical films?
Yeah. As an actor, the framing, it does change kind of the dynamics a little bit of it, because you have the sort of the space to work more up and down than side to side. But I
Mhm.
don't really think that factors in too much into the performance. Uh, it's more the style and the pacing of production, and having done soap operas, like I know what it's like to shoot 10 pages in half a day
Mhm.
um, already. And I know like that kind of the need for that kind of melodramatic, intense like pacing and tone. So I did enough things sort of tangential to it that it didn't feel like a total, like completely like new world to
Mhm.
me. But it's definitely its own kind of animal in terms of the crews you work with and the style that they do, and the three cameras, and also the material. Is different, in like the idea of like these 1 minute episodes or 2 minute episodes sometimes.
Mhm.
Um, but I would say, it wasn't too much of a conscious shift for me. Um, in terms of the work, like the acting is acting. I think it boils down to it for the most part. But yeah, like there's definitely peculiarities. Where
Mhm.
they have certain like kind of results or guidelines that go with the algorithm and the platform, like requirements, and there's the kind of like creative producer control, and there are certain things where they're like, oh, we just need it this certain way, and it can be kind of more hands-on and like more result oriented in some cases. But yeah, a lot of the time it felt very much like doing a soap opera or a Lifetime movie, to me.
Okay. That's interesting. I've heard a lot of different things, but I don't think I've ever heard that. I've heard because there are some who've been like I think it was Robert Palmer Watkins has also been on General Hospital.
Um,
There's a few of you in the vertical
yeah,
space that have on General Hospital. But a
yeah.
lot of them say that like the spacing makes things harder.
The spacing or the pacing.
The spacing, like the because you have wider with horizontal, and like
Yeah,
verticals, you're all really close together.
right. Yeah, no, I mean it's a consideration. The framing is different, but I don't feel. I mean, you can talk about the differences, and you can analyze like how they are different, and what that could potentially mean or change. But I'm just saying, as an actor, I didn't feel like it was much of a transition. I mean, having done everything from independent films and primetime television and soap operas and theater and voiceover, like it didn't feel like it was a big evolution. For me, it was like, yeah, there's some oddities and peculiarities of doing verticals, but like at the end of the day, I just show up and know my lines and
Hmm.
my marks and know my character and be in the moment as best I can.
Okay. Your first one was I don't think I ever say her last name right, but Haley Lorelei.
Yeah, Eddie Lorelai.
Okay, I've heard it said multiple different ways, and I think a lot of people like really liked it. I mean, I did. I still need to post my review about it.
I would say the bud is like, and I just saw someone posting about this just a minute ago, about verticals that like the ones that have like more nuance and character development and like good storytelling, like they often don't get the kind of viral attention that platforms want, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times ones that have great visibility, like don't have that depth or quality or substance, and they're focused more on like the clickbait. Um, and I would say that that kind of applies to Too Late to Apologize. I think there was a lot of people who were like really enjoyed it. Like I saw some reviewers who gave it like an A plus rating.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a lot of people said like this was like the first one I could finish, or I really enjoyed it, especially, and like the great performance, and it was really touching. And I know the team at Flare Flow were really proud of what everyone did with it, but I know it wasn't like one of those big high performing one's view wise, and that's because those things are emphasized, and in this space the algorithm can really give preferential treatment to the ones that just play the algorithm rather than focus on great storytelling and character development and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Where I was going with it was like the performances, and that was of course, it was your intro to verticals, but like everybody's intro to you. And
Mhm.
not a lot of people will do the background on, actors. And so like you have all of this experience in acting. I say all of this because you've been doing it for quite some time. You said 60 something.
Yeah.
Do you think more like verticals are in your scope, or are you just they just coming to you, or are you actually like trying to get them?
I'm always open to. In fact, I just ran into it. I ran into an old acquaintance in the industry from years ago who's producing them, and I was explaining that she's doing them. I'm happy to talk about it. I've definitely turned down more verticals than I've done,
Mm-hmm.
even in the last year. But it's not because I'm not open to doing them. I mean, I think it just comes down to the timing. Like sometimes I have another film that it's conflicting with, and there's not really any flexibility with
Mm-hmm.
them. I've had a few um, that have come up recently that just had some minor conflicts or potential conflicts and just wasn't an option. And there are others that just the material doesn't resonate with me, or um, I just don't feel like the character's a good fit. But um, I wouldn't be surprised if I do some more verticals this year. Just have to see how like what projects come along, and
Mm-hmm.
what the schedule looks like, and I just have to as an actor just take it one day at a time. Like what are the options, and
Yeah,
what's out there, and what's the best move next.
I get that.
But I had when I had the conversation with Drama Box last year, um, they really, were really sharing their vision of like expanding, and I've really seen them start to do a lot more genres and styles and story types,
Mm-hmm.
which is cool. And they're, always like, working on improving the production value and raising the bar, talent and stuff. So I think that's exciting. I think it's fun that they're not just kind of doing this one little niche style story.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think there's all kinds of possibilities.
Okay. Because I know your It's Too Late to Apologize was like still kind of in that used to, but there were also a lot of different factors. And then the
Hmm.
fact like you're a new face that a lot of people haven't seen. Um, that I think that's why people really enjoyed it for one. Two, like you did great. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like
I think there's a lot of challenges to even like doing your own best work in this kind of format because the timelines are so tight, that you have so little preparation time, you have so little time to shoot. You really have to fling yourself into it, and I have a lot of understanding for actors who maybe like didn't like quite deliver or didn't have a lot of depth in their work, because like they might be very capable and willing to do that, but like they just didn't have time, like especially if you're busy doing a lot of them, you might be coming off of one and like 2 days later you're having to like do another 100 pages,
Hmm.
of the next one. And so that's really tough. And the timelines are so short, like in the best case scenario, you don't have much lead time to prepare. But that being said, like if I'm going to do something, I always do 100% with what I have access to. And I really make a point of like not to let those excuses hold me back, and like, not that anyone wants to phone it in, but um to not, to not hold back when you don't have the ideal like working parameters.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think, like I love it when people come to play, and to take and to show up with their A game. And if you don't have the time like to do your best, you're gonna do the best you can under those circumstances at least. And uh, I just always aim to find some truth in it, to find something that's moving, to find something that's powerful, to find something um that's grounded as best I can in it. Even if it's a vertical with some absurd premise, I'm gonna like how do I make this, as human and impactful as possible as an
Hmm.
artist, like even if nobody else cares like I care. So
Okay. Um, what advice would you give somebody who is looking at like becoming an actor?
um there's I I would have better advice if I could ask the person questions as to like where they're at, and like
Hmm.
like why they want to do it. But I would say the first thing is to ask yourself, maybe why you want to be an actor. Um, a lot of times people focus on like, hey, I want to be an actor. How do I become an actor?
Hmm.
And I think maybe my advice would be to ask yourself why. And you might not have the best answer right away, but I think it's a good thing to start with and to continue to ask is like, why do you want to be an actor? Um, there's a lot of, I feel like acting more than most professions has a lot of baggage and optics around it that
Hmm.
generate people wanting to be an actor for the wrong reasons. Um and it's a very challenging path, if you want to do it as a profession, it's a very challenging path. And so I think it's good. And just as an artist in general, I think it's really important to have a strong purpose in doing it. So I would ask yourself why you want to be an actor, and then ask yourself, is that, worth sacrificing a lot of things for? Is that meaningful enough and significant enough a reason to like potentially dedicate yourself something for 10 years and never really have it be very profitable, like,
Okay.
'cause that's the prospect for most people. So I think ask yourself why. But then also, like, my advice would also be that, like, if you have a good reason, if you have a really good reason and it's something that's pure or something that's, powerful or meaningful to you,
Hmm.
to also just to have that mindset of like there's a value in being acting for its own sake too, and that like whatever making it means to you might never happen, but if you have a really good reason why you're an actor, um, that can carry you through, and really help you to find meaning in it, even if it's only in a very small way that you get to be an actor, like that
Hmm.
you really appreciate it and enjoy that journey. And that's how I approached acting, was not with this idea of like I'm gonna be this or I'm gonna be that. But I had my own personal journey that I was on in terms of discovering who I am and overcoming certain fears and challenges and blocks. Um and I was like, whether anyone ever recognizes or, me, my work or whatnot, like there's something really important for me to figure out and for me to wrestle with as an actor. And so you can succeed if you have something that's personal and meaningful to you as an actor, regardless of whether you succeed in like the eyes of the industry. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah. But like other than that, I mean, practically, you want to find a place where you can create and learn, and whether that's an acting class or a theater or making a short film with some friends, like you want to have a place where you can learn and experiment and fail, and get, and collaborate and get feedback, and everyone can do that, if you're if you have any talent and you have a real purpose in doing it, anyone can do that, Anyone can.
Okay. One of my funner questions I usually ask is, if you were a drink, what would you be?
If I was a drink,
Yep. If you were a drink, what would you be? It doesn't have to be alcohol, just so you know.
okay, probably sparkling water.
Okay. I mean, that's
A
fair.
tall glass of sparkling water.
And then we've got a few minutes left before you said you had to head out. As I guess someone who's been acting and then just recently like experienced the vertical space yourself, do you have any questions for me, for someone who's been watching these for almost 3 years?
I do, yeah. I would love to know, like, in that continuum, because I've gotten lots of comments from different people on some of the stuff, but I haven't talked to people who are fans like really much. With what we were saying earlier about like, the things that are kind of glitzy and catchy and clickbait, versus, and it's not just clickbait, but it's like the stories that are kind of sensational, or and all of the verticals have a certain level of like melodrama and stuff in them, but for the ones, right, that can generate the clicks because they're kind of outrageous, versus ones like Bring My Heart, that maybe have more like depth and character development and nuance in them. Which where do you see like the interest for yourself personally in that, and like what's, with those, that continuum of those, like kind of two sides of it, like where do you find yourself more drawn to, or do you do you do you care about that? Is that the most important thing to you? Like where does your interest lie in that kind of continuum?
So now that I've like been in the space and been talking to people and everything, and I've seen how much they've changed. It's like I said, I've been watching them since they first started in 2023. Technically, they started in 2022, but they really started to gain popularity in 2023. When I watch them, I mean, I watch them all, but I'm big on character development and storylines because, like, everybody has a past, and understanding that is a big thing for me, especially like with my ADHD. I pick up on all the other smaller things that happen as well. But like one big focus is like how is, how are the actors presenting their characters? Are you giving me enough emotion, and kind of just seeing the change? Because there have been some where it's like she hates him, and then the next day they're in love. I'm like, but there's like you're missing something there. Whereas in like your first one, you guys had a history, and then like you could slowly see them coming back together while also like she was trying to stay safe and keep her distance, but you were just like, no, I know you. And being able to see that and the storyline kind of build like that is one thing that I really hope we see more of, if that answers your question.
No, it does. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, I don't know, obviously, but probably that doesn't speak for everyone who's a fan
Mhm.
of the space, but yeah, it seems like I mean, do you feel like that one, and not like that is like the be all and end all. It just happened to be the one that I did, but I felt like that was a good one to start with because I liked, where they were going with it. And do you feel like it had sufficient like movement and pacing that it wasn't boring, it wasn't like too little of the vertical to be a good vertical, like do you feel like there was a good balance of like having a little bit more of the depth and development while still
I think
being vertical?
I think there was a really good balance because they kept some of the like vertical-esque things that we see nowadays, which are, slaps or assault by
We'll
parental
see.
figures and kidnapping and things of that nature. Like we still had those, but the storyline was also so different than what we normally see. Because
Mhm,
normally it's like, you know, they're past lovers and then you were engaged to someone. Obviously you didn't
mhm,
want to be, but like you were engaged to her. Whereas other storylines, it's like there's someone who wants him, but he's not engaging that other lady because he wants the person he lost.
mhm.
Whereas your storyline, it was like, I'm doing this because my family wants me to, but there's still this girl that made such an impact. Because it's a real
Right.
life thing that can happen. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's
It is.
one big thing is being able to relate it to real life sometimes. Obviously not all the time because they can be kind of crazy.
Mhm.
But just the ones that you can relate to real life are they stand out to me a little more. I mean,
Mhm.
like I said, I watch them all, but there are certain ones that I watch more than others
Mhm.
because it
Do you
feels
ever
more like real life to me.
Yeah. Do you ever rewatch one that, like, stood out to you?
I rewatch many, so I
Yeah.
have I have a post, and it's called I call it my top 20. And
Uh-huh.
when I started my page, it was the top 20 that I've rewatched ever,
Right.
whether they've been comfort verticals or whatever. Because when I first started watching them, I was escaping my abusive ex-husband. Like I had just divorced him, and it was an escapism for me.
Mhm.
And then as time went on, and I healed from that, and really started diving into the space. Now it's all about storyline and everything. And so now my top 20 list, I don't number them anymore. I just list 20 that I've rewatched in the past 3 months. 3 months.
Mhm.
I won't tell you how many times I've rewatched them, but just enough to where they were rewatch worthy.
Do you do you often watch one, like, all the way through at once, or is it usually broken up into, like, bits and pieces?
When I watch them, I try and watch them all the way through. I don't. My ADHD won't leave it alone if I try and stop one.
Right.
Um, so like for work, I'll put one on when I'm like driving down because I have to drive an hour away, and that's usually the right amount of time.
Right.
Um, I'll like put one on, and it'll just kind of be there, and it's in my view sight, so I can still see it, but I'm still paying attention to the road
Oh, man.
because I can't not pay attention to the road. Um, but I don't like leaving the stories because then I get too focused on them and forget what I'm doing with the day.
Right, you're just thinking about what's gonna happen next, what's gonna happen next.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, is there anything in particular? I mean, you kind of shared what you like or what you value, but is there anything in particular that you're like waiting to see or we really want to see
I
more of in particular?
New storylines are a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or new genres. And I know like you said, Drama Box expanded a little bit. They did like a Fae one, which was cool because we haven't had a fairy one yet. Um, we've mainly stuck to alphas and vampires and billionaire CEOs.
Right.
Um, and
Yeah.
then see more of is just like the pure romance ones where there's not a whole lot of violence and whatever violence there is, it's like necessary to the storyline.
Uh,
Those are the two like big things that I want to see more of.
yeah.
It's more genres and
Interesting.
more pure romance.
And when you say pure romance, do you mean that like this story's more centered on the romantic relationship, or that it's just like more of like a more of a pure connection in their romance.
I guess a little
To me,
both.
like something like more of like a love story, like more of like a pure love story, in the sense that their relationship is like wholesome, or just more that like that the story just emphasizes their relationship more in the romance.
I mean, a mix of both. I know a lot of people love there's like a few that people really like, and a big part of people not liking some of them is the amount of violence, because the violence has grown so much in the past almost 3 years,
Mm,
where it's just like it's more of a romantic story,
mhm,
where they can get married for whatever the will, or to get family off their back, or whatever they need to do, but actually being able to watch that relationship grow
mhm,
to where it's more than just a contract is something
mhm.
that people love.
Right.
Where it's more
Yeah.
than just for revenge and they're actually falling in love.
Hmm. Yeah. Like ultimately, like how whatever twists and turns, like seeing like something that's actually like a good relationship that works out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I watched one and I did a review on it. I was like, it was great. It was more romance than it was anything else. Like there was obviously still some drama, but like there was almost no violence whatsoever.
Hmm.
And
Right.
it said that multiple people were like, "You said no violence, I'm in," and they went and watched it.
Right.
Because, like me, for example, when I first found them, I was getting out of an abusive marriage. I didn't want to see abuse in
Right.
these
Yeah.
things, or at least
Yeah.
excessive.
Right.
You want it's like a princess story. You want the Prince Charming to come
Hmm.
save the princess,
Yeah.
but you don't want it to be where she loses a baby, which is also very traumatic, or
Hmm.
what it could be triggering. Um,
Yeah.
just kind of like a Prince Charming and a princess situation.
Yeah. Right on. Well, I think putting out like more stories that are, I guess, aspirational or emulatable are is a good thing. Society like emphasize that more. So
Because
yeah,
we all
I
want,
yeah, I agree. So they inspire people instead of just like shock them.
yeah, we all want the Cinderella vibes, but we all also want, like, you know, feeling. I say we all, acting like I know everybody's opinions, but it's like you want the Cinderella vibes where you're like, oh, he came and saved her from whatever horrible situation she was in, and it kind of just, for me, when I first found them, it gave me that sense of, maybe not everyone is bad.
Hmm.
There is a guy out there who would do all these things.
Yeah,
But right
yeah,
now, I can put myself into this vertical and feel like I'm there.
right.
Nobody wants to put themselves into a vertical where there's so much violence to, you're being tortured. Yeah, you know that there's a hero
Yeah,
character coming, but you don't
right,
want to put yourself through all of that first.
right, right. Yeah. Well, I mean that's something I appreciate about Bring Back My Heart was that like whatever the nonsense that they go through and start out with like he does genuinely have love for her, um and that he demonstrates that and proves it, and like really like sincerely cares about her and the
Mhm.
daughter. um
I mean,
I
like
like I
you
like
could
that.
see like the pain in both of your faces when you're like, someone who hurt me, and she was like, hurt you. You could see
Right.
that, like, there was the pain, and then there's the confusion, because to
Yeah.
her, you didn't want her, and then to you, she didn't
Right.
want you.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
people could see that there was a different reasoning behind why the split happened, and that, like, there was still feeling there, but also you didn't know that it was for that. You didn't know it was for her. She knew it was for you, but
Right. Yeah. Well, and I mean, even when you don't have someone interfering and maniacally maligning the other person to you and whatnot, relationships are really hard because there's a lot of times there are misunderstandings. We don't communicate clearly, or we don't read things properly, and that can be a huge wedge to overcome. Like even when there's nobody else interfering
Mhm.
relationship. And so, I mean, I think there's plenty of opportunities for drama, um, in a romantic story, like as we've seen with so many romantic comedies in the past.
Yeah.
Um, right, like the whole like mistaken confusion, misunderstanding, angle is like can
Mhm.
be a real thing in relationships. That's a big challenge to overcome for people to work things out.
And that's what people like to see. Or from what I've gathered, people like to see that, like, hey, there's another one where like it's just a bunch of miscommunication. She's like, I
Yeah,
trust you, but then she hears something, and then she doesn't give him a chance to explain,
right.
and it's just like it's also a very very good one that's like barely has any abuse, and that's what people want to see.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good to know. I will. I'll keep my eye out for them, Angel.
I appreciate you coming on and chatting with me.
You're
If you
welcome.
ever have any other questions, just feel free to shoot them over.
Well, no, it's good. It's cool. It's cool to be able to have that two-way communication. I think like as a storyteller, um, there is a lot of value in like being able to understand how stories impact people and like what 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 is meaningful to people, or what's not working, or what they're missing or looking for, what they're appreciating, what they're getting value out of the stories you tell. And um I think um, having that idea of serving the audience, is really important to keep that in mind, because
Mhm.
it's like it's not just, and to this person's point, I think it was Vertical Drama Love, I think was the account.
I
Were you
love
sharing about
Vertical,
that?
Jen.
Yeah, they were sharing that like it's not just a question of like what is financially, like monetarily successful. It's like what's actually serving the audience in terms of like what is it doing to the audience. Because like just because you're getting attention doesn't mean you're actually serving the audience, right? You could be making good money and getting attention, but you're not actually serving the audience with the material, with the stories.
Mhm.
So there's only so much I can do as an actor, but I do have that in mind, like what's going to serve the audience, and how can we shape things or choose things or influence things
Mhm.
to be more in that direction. So
And like I know Vertical Drama Love, she did a big survey on like what people wanted to see, and then she posted the results for everyone to see, because a lot of people participated. They're like, no banquet scenes, this and this, and people were very outspoken about it. um as long as well as like I'm in a group with the Vertical View crew. It's a bunch of critics, um
mhm,
and there's a couple pages. It's mainly Aline, I Verticals, and then Megan, Real Drama, who they're very like outspoken.
mhm,
Megan, she'll post whatever she thinks, and I love it. But she's done some of like, you know, this is what we don't want to see anymore.
mhm.
And it's not just like her thoughts; it's her followers that have reached out to her, or the group ourselves, the things we have said. And Aline's more of like she's more of a protect the actors kind of
Yeah,
thing, where
yeah.
she'll post fan talks about what not to do, because don't don't try and find an actor in public, don't follow them around, things of that nature.
Mhm.
um, those three accounts are, as well as me, are really good about speaking out to the public and making sure that the public knows that we're here and we're trying our best to
Mhm.
And we all know that like you guys do your best to provide great films and do what you can on set.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see what comes up next, but a good chance I'll be diving into one of these again this year, and
Mm.
it's good to know that there's like it's good to know like the fan base and that has like a vested interest in it and an opinion on it, and
Mhm.
yeah, I will keep that in mind. Like when I have an opportunity to like have any creative input, like if I need some feedback, I'll know to go to you for a window into what the fandom is looking at.
Yeah, go for it. I mean, like I
Yeah.
said, my messages are always open. Any questions, just feel free to send them over. I'll reply honestly, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm all about building you guys up, and well, I mean, you have different projects than just verticals, but like I'm all about supporting and getting your guys' names out there because it's not. I don't make the verticals. I'm not in them.
Right.
You guys are, but I'm at least part of the support in the community that's behind the reasoning for them.
Mhm. Yeah. Cool. Well, pleasure to meet you, Angel, and
It was
it's
great meeting you.
fun chatting you and hearing your perspective on things.
Of course. And like I said, I appreciate you coming on and just listening to me ask questions and asking me questions, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Take
We'll
care. Have a
chat
great
soon.
week, Angel.
You too.
Okay.
All right.
Cheers.
Bye.